clearing the table a little bit because, as I said, there's going to be desserts also. And just to make things work a little bit faster, I will attempt to try to talk and make some sense as things are going on. So, but feel free to eat if you still want to have more salad and everything like that. Does everybody have one of those brochures, couples and stuff like that? Okay, all right, great. Now I gotta get mine so I know what I'm talking about. Okay. So this should be fun. The last time I was wired up like this, I was in a hospital. I had like 5 different things on me. So, real estate has gotten to be pretty interesting. Now that I'm told to stay current, I have to go and start doing videos and all that. So. You guys are my first attempt at this, and then at also some point, if it works out properly, this is going to end up being on YouTube and stuff like that. So we'll, if it comes out really horrible, you will never see it on that. So let me try. I'm trying to figure out where I put my glasses. This used to be easier when I didn't have to have reading glasses. So we'll see on this. But they told me if I didn't try it, I wouldn't know. So let's figure this one out here. Talk about being tangled up. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's good. Now let's see if I can read. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm not a paid speaker. I do this at Holiday Inns. All right, anyhow, I want to welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming to the holiday party. I really enjoy when I can get a big group together. So I was just curious. The nice thing about updating is that I used Eventbrite, and they told me that they updated it so it would be better. Who did not get a notification of this invitation, or when somebody tried to register, did you get a thing that said it was all booked up? If that happened, raise your hand. Okay. Yeah, so I hate it when they make things better. Who did not get a reminder about approximately this Wednesday or Thursday? Okay. Well, it got improved a little bit better. There's only 1 or 2. So what I had tried to do was call everybody just to remind them on that. So I think it worked. You're all here. I think we were able to play musical chairs to get everybody accommodated because things were really rather interesting. So anyhow, again, I want to thank you all very much for coming. I truly enjoy these. It seems kind of like crazy, but for me, it's actually a lot of fun. Before I start, I want to introduce a couple people. Not that I said that I would tell them, but these are people that have helped me throughout real estate. Some of them may have also helped you when I was out of the area. First, on my left is Beth Baker Owens, if you could stand up. Okay. Beth is one of the people that helps me run my business, and we also do mastermind about once a week, talking about, okay, what's the latest thing that we've learned, and how can we go ahead and improve the business. Second person is Vanessa Holmes, on my right. Okay. Vanessa has been in the business for 40-some years. When I started, I was truly a newbie, and there was a lot of times I had to kind of turn to her, and she was always so very nice to humor me as a new agent on that. So a lot of the stuff that I know that I've helped a lot of you in terms of buying and selling of homes, I have to thank both Vanessa as well as Beth for keeping me prominent. And even Beth now has volunteered, if nothing else, she'd be willing to hold up this speaker if necessary on that. So the setting of it makes it pretty interesting. Okay, so what we're going to do is cover basically what's happening in the Denver metro area. And one of the reasons I'm doing this is I get a lot of people that have been asking, are we going into a crash? Are we going to have foreclosures? And those type of things. And as I kind of walk through it, I hopefully will be able to clarify exactly what's happening and what we expect to happen in 24, 25, and 26. So on the first page, page 3 is basically an overall summary of what the Denver housing is. I won't cover the whole page. The only thing I want to talk about is the second column, which is the white column. It says MOI. What that stands for is month of inventory. This is one of the indicators that we go ahead and use when we're trying to figure out what's happening in the market. So as a quick example, if let's say there were 100 homes that were on the market and no other homes were going to come in at that time period, how long would it take to sell or put those homes under contract? So if you see number 1 on there, it means basically it would take a month. If you saw a 0.5, it basically would say it would take about 2 weeks to sell all 100 homes. And then there's always, the decimal, if it's 1.6, 1.5, et cetera, that. So that's one of the indicators that we go ahead and use. Right now, compared to where we were at the beginning of the year, months of inventory is basically at about 2 months, whereas in the first quarter of 23, it was at basically 1.1 or just a little bit over a month. So the market has slowed down. We can, of course, thank the economic situation of interest rates. That has actually helped slow the process down, which, believe it or not, is a good thing. I won't keep going into that, but I just wanted to explain a little bit about that. Then when you go to the next page, which is page 4, okay, what this is, it talks about basically home appreciation and the expected appreciation price for 24 and 25. So if you go to the far right, you see the number 800 and 495, and that's for 24, 25. Our expectation is that the average home price for basically a condo will be about 495, and then for single-family homes, it's going to be about 800,000. So this is one of the indicators as we're looking at it that will probably show that we're not going to have a price drop.
Is the condos that also includes townhomes and multifamily?
Yes, the one that says condos, we include that with condos, townhomes, multifamily homes, those type of things. Yes, correct. Okay. Was there any other quick questions there? Just on that. Okay. Randy, are you just scratching or you have a question?
I do. MOI is a KPI for realtor, right?
Key indicators, yes, go ahead. It's called Key Lime Pie Pudding Inc., but go on.
So can that be stratified for levels of half millions and 50 millions and so on?
The answer is yes. This is an overall. Yeah, this is just what we call for the, quote, the average market. I actually have I actually have 3 more booklets, each one about 40 pages, that breaks up specifically the price ranges and even specifically the different areas, like if it's in the mountains, up in Fort Collins. But I thought, let's just try to keep it down. Otherwise, 13 pages, we'll be here for 13 hours, and that probably would not sit well with many of you. So the question is it breaking up to different areas? The answer is yes, but I'm just trying to cover an overall general process on that. So that was page 4. Next page is page 5. And what this one talks about is home building in the United States, the number of properties. Not only do we like to look at things, what's happening locally, but nationally, because obviously we are part of the United States as far as I know. And so whatever happens in the United States will also go ahead and affect us. The most important thing to look at is if you look at the 2 right purples, I started in 1990, which was about 33 years ago. And at that time, we had a sufficient amount of new homes built to go ahead and meet the expectations or the desires of people who wanted to go ahead and purchase. But then starting around 2010, because of numerous situations that were occurring, the new home builders essentially stopped building for various reasons. So we actually have a deficit or a situation that we actually are about 75 to 80% less in terms of homes that are being built. So there's really only about maybe 20 or 20% of the amount of homes that we need to have built to go ahead and meet the supply of the buyers that are coming in. Okay, let's go to page 6. Okay, page 6 is the local one about Colorado home inventory. And when you look at it, right up until on the right side where you see the gray, we were okay with the number of home builders and the number of buildings and houses that they had built. But right around starting 2008, all the way to now 2023, which is about 15 years, we have not built enough homes to go ahead and supply the number of people that are coming in here. So again, you know, it's sort of the situation where if, you know, the supply and demand, if you don't have a lot of supply, the demand gets higher, which is one of the reasons why, you know, in the last 3, 4, or 5 years, including the interest rates, we have had situations where when people were putting offers in, they could be anywhere from 2 to 3 multiple, in fact, even possibly 20 or so. Beth, how about you? Did you have a couple multiple offer situations?
Couple? Lots and lots. And they may come back again this next spring.
Okay. So, and Vanessa?
Oh, yeah, it was crazy.
Okay, yeah. And that's from people who are really seasoned and know what they're doing. Is I myself was in certain situations where I was competing with the buyers I had, and we were competing against 14, 15, or 20 different offers. And then there were certain times where the winning offer was literally, depending on what price range, was anywhere from $20,000 to over $150,000 above the list price. And that was not unusual. And then months of inventory was usually less than 14 days or 0.5. And if a home stayed on the market for more than 5 days, people wanted to know what was wrong with the house. Okay, expectations, what can I say? So we are out of that, and actually, thankfully, that helps both the buyers and the sellers, because once the sellers sold, they were ending up in the same situation on that. Okay, so let's go ahead to page 7. This is recessions doesn't equal a housing crisis, and this is nationwide statistics. So again, when we're taking a look at this is basically a 50-year range, and there are essentially 6 times that there was a recession. Well, out of the 6 recessions, only 2 of them actually produced a reduction in the home sales price. And all the other ones, there was still home appreciation. And interestingly, the ones that reduced the home sales price had to do with more of the loan factor. In 1991, we were almost at what I would call an even market. What happened was basically from 1985 to about 1990, you had the savings and loan crisis, which threw everything off. A lot of people had problems. If you were here at this time, they had newspapers. Newspapers had specifically a pullout of HUD homes, and they were like 30 or 40 pages of different HUD homes. Then in the second recession, which I think most of us were around, is that it was the home crisis. Again, that was based on lending criteria in the banks, where they were giving out loans. If it was one of those where here's a mirror, if you can breathe, okay, we'll give you a loan. Or what would happen literally is somebody who had made $40,000 left the front door, and then when they went to the bank and the banker said, how much do you make? They said $400,000, and the banker said, okay, without any real qualifications. So what happened was a lot of people end up buying homes that really were not qualified or didn't have the money. So believe it or not, recession really does not have an effect on the home prices, unless, of course, the banks decide to do some funny business. What else can I say? Page number 9. The interesting thing to do is really look at the right-hand side. One of the indicators we have is that to have basically what we call a balanced market, you have to have about 5 homes available for about every 1,000 people. Well, right now, we have only about 2 homes available for every 1,000 people. If we were to try to get into a situation where there was going to be essentially foreclosures or a home recession, we would actually have to have about 10 homes available for every 1,000 people that are here in the Denver, Colorado area. So we don't see that coming because basically we're already under the available amount of homes available. We're only at about 50% of a balanced market if you look at 2.1 homes per 1,000 versus 5 homes per 1,000. Now let's go to page 10. This is a fun little one. Then there's also a pullout that we'll talk about. People are always asking, is it really worthwhile to go ahead and buy a home? If you look over a period of 30 years, if somebody did buy a home versus a person who rented for 30 years, you would see that the person who bought a home and lived in it would have a net home equity of about $255,000 versus a renter, which would have about $6,300. So despite the ups and downs of the market, it really is worthwhile to plan to purchase a home. What that takes is planning. You can't just nowadays just go through the front door and say, okay, I want to buy a house, and boom, you get one right away. So kind of delayed gratification. I've talked to a couple of you. I know some of you have been working at different ways of saving money, and congratulations to those people that I talked to that said they're going to do that, and they're still looking to go ahead and purchase a home. Okay, then page number 11. All right, this is more of the population situation. So basically in 2014, we hit 3 million here in Colorado. And then in 2021, the population was 3,270,000. Now, what we're expecting is that for the next 10 years, every year, we're going to have an influx of approximately 40,000 people coming into the Denver metro area. So, I know every one of you guys should put a sign in your yard that says, "Do not come here, go away." Unfortunately, those people that are coming in can't read those signs, so they don't see them. We have been trying to do that ourselves, and it just has not worked. So when the first time I had this projection, they had projected that it would be about 50,000, and this was one of the meetings I had gone to back in around 2012, 2013. So they have tempered it down a little bit by saying it's about 40,000 a year. Okay.
What's the deal when you hear on the news that they say 100,000 people left last year?
Yeah, but did they tell you like 200,000 showed up?
No.
The question is, what's the deal with the news that says 100,000 people have left last year? All right, so this is my feeling about news, is if they tell you good news, you're never going to hear it. So what they do is always they try to find the shocking news and just report that side of it on that. And I'll go through a little bit more and explain. This kind of covers it. Was there another question somewhere? 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, so let's look at page 12. On page 12 here, this is the economic forecast for Denver. And Patty Silverstein and I have been attending her meetings. She's the local economist, I think, for at least 10 years. She's probably one of the most balanced economists that I know. No drama. Yeah, and you go like, wait a minute, economists normally don't have drama. Well, go watch TV. There are some pretty dramatic economists that are talking online. So when you look at this from 1991 all the way to 2030, if the purple columns show what we call the natural growth. In other words, if we actually could go ahead and shut the door to Colorado and nobody else came in, what would the population look like with births, deaths, etc. Then the little white blocks above is the immigration or migration in and what we were expecting. So basically we had positive migration into Colorado every single year. The only exception was the year 2003. And what happened there is that there were about 4 industry sectors that did contribute for people moving out of state. And what that was farming, information services, manufacturing, and construction. But that was only about a year. As you can see, then we moved to 2004. It came back 2005, et cetera, all the way from where we are. So again, indicators here is that we're going to have enough people that are going to be coming here that want housing. Of course, some of them will be renters, but also a portion of them will go ahead and want to be home purchasers. Now, a number of people that I know here have moved here because they have family here, or they retired here, or when they were in the military, they decided that once they were retired from the military, this is the place that they wanted to come to. So the Denver metro Colorado area is still very desirable. If you look on number 13, now this was taken in 2021, and at that time Colorado was like the number 2, the number most desirable state. I believe when I looked at, I think it's at number 5 or 6 right now. I think Dallas and Fort Worth and those areas sort of beat us out. Hawaii always manages to be able to be there. So if you want to be an island unto yourself, it would be Hawaii. Okay, so now that pretty much finishes it. But for people who want the quick and easy, which is usually me, I also put on the back part of it here three pieces of paper, which kind of covers it in general. This is one about being a homeowner versus a renter. So back in 2010, the federals did a study, and they said that homeowners had about 187,000, whereas the renters had 5,400. So the net difference was 181,600 in favor of homeowners. And then again, they did it in 2013, 16, 19, and now 2020. And as you can see, they have all increased, but still dramatically increased. Homeowner net equity now versus a renter. And we're talking as an example of over a 30-year time period. And that might sound strange, but there are people who actually rent their whole life. And so those are the people that they had chosen when doing this study. So the difference there is 385,500 in favor of home ownership on that. If you're young, it's not too late. If you're old, it's not too late. It's never too late. You just have to figure out the timing for yourself. Okay? On that. Okay, so I can confess this now after 33 years in the business. When I started, I was a renter, and that was about 36. Well, you know how it goes with car salesmen, is they should be driving the car that they go ahead and sell. Well, when I was about 40, I turned to Denise and said, and so I've been in the business 6 years, well, I guess I should buy a house. So I was a little bit slower. Some of you are going to be a lot faster than I was. In fact, I have to confess, I think Dana and Kathy and probably Ernie and Vernetta were already homeowners when I started, and I didn't get to be a homeowner until a few years later. And I've known Dana and Kathy and Ernie and Vernetta, both for over 30 years. And they're just wonderful people, and I just want to say thanks for showing up on that. Okay, so the question is there going to be a foreclosure situation? And the quick answer is no. And the reason why is because of the equity that people have in their houses now. Almost 30% of the homes are free and clear of any type of loan. The ones that aren't have probably at least 50% equity or more. What's going to happen is that if those people run into a situation, they're going to sell their house first and instead of letting it go into foreclosure and losing all that equity. So that is going to be one of the reasons we can see that probably there's not going to be a foreclosure. And then the last one, the number of foreclosures is at an all-time low. Now, I apologize, my printer decided to be funky on me, so it's a little bit harder to see. But if you go ahead and basically take a look at it, from about the first quarter of 2020 through to March of 2022, there was a moratorium on foreclosure proceedings. If you remember hearing in the newspaper that the government forbade all the loan companies from foreclosing on people. So that happened basically for about 2 years. But even when they lifted the moratorium, the number of foreclosures is significantly less, and it's been at its lowest point. So we don't see that that's going to happen in terms of a large influx of mortgage foreclosures. And I've been checking on a regular basis, and I think Don and Vanessa would attest to it, is that when we went through that time period, I would always talk with them and say, well, we had another 150 foreclosure filings this week. At the end of the month, well, we had 2,000 foreclosure filings. We're not seeing that. I'm seeing maybe at most 7 or 10 as an average during the week, or for a week, excuse me. So very different. So in a quick nutshell, our economy here in the Denver metro area, and surprisingly in most of the United States, for home purchases and home sales is really strong. One of the things I did not mention is from basically the time that I started in 1990 through 2023, which is about a 33-year time frame, approximately 26 years was a seller's market. 6 years was a buyer's market. So if you're waiting to buy in a buyer's market, you're actually going to lose out on a lot of appreciation. So again, one more time, as I said, when people ask me, is this a good time to buy? You're going to hear real estate agents, yes, it is. My answer, it's always a good time to buy. It's just when is it a good time for you to buy? You know, it depends on your specific. Because there were a number of people who wanted to buy in a year and a half ago, or well, actually it's about 2 years now, where the interest rate was 3%. But they didn't buy, okay? And the answer would have been yes. But then the reason was, well, I don't want to pay $40,000 extra. Well, now you don't have to pay $40,000 extra, or $100,000, but now you have to pay higher interest rate. Well, then they said, well, I don't want to buy because the interest rates are too high. You can't have both, you know? So, I mean, that's the bottom line. So I would tell you, gosh, what was it? Somebody said, marry the house and date the rate, okay? Which I thought was a very cute way to say, marry the house, go ahead and buy the house. And when you date the rate, what you're doing is the rate's not going to be the same for the next 30 years. It'll go up, it'll go down, it'll improve, and you can always refinance. And that's what I saw a lot of people do, especially when I started, when the interest rates, some people I helped sell had 16% rates, 12% rates, and they just go ahead and refinance. So it just takes a little bit of planning. Thank you very much for humoring me. Were there any questions? And if I can't answer them, I will defer them to my partner on the left and the right, and then not say anything. Troy.
What's the interest rate for VA loans?
I'm sorry, excuse me?
The interest rate for VA loans?
What's the interest rate for the VA loans? They're pretty much the same. They follow as conventionals and stuff. So now we are seeing potentially right about 7. It might, and it might drop a little bit less. So I would say my safe answer would be 6 3/4 to 7 1/4. It would be the range because it does change. And then now VA rates are very interesting. There are certain things that can be done with them. But again, you would want to talk with a loan officer because that seems to be changing on a regular basis on that. Any other questions?